Hello there, welcome once again to Blackpool. It's semi-final time in the Foster's World 8-Ball Pool Championships. We've already enjoyed one terrific semi-final, and now the second semi is coming up to decide what our final lineup will be to see who'll be our champion for this year. Let's just remind you of what happened in that first semi-final. Adam Davis going out 10-7 in the end to Phil Harrison. An intriguing semi-final indeed, and still to come, this is our feature match-up this time. Mick Hill, the former world champion, against Mark Farnsworth. Well, Keith Brewer is with me once again here in the studio. Keith, let's get your thoughts on this. This promises to be an intriguing matchup, despite, it would seem, Mick Hill, the former champion, against a qualifier.
Yeah, well, Mark might be a qualifier, but he's already well respected and well known throughout the pool circuit. I'm sure many of our viewers have already seen him and heard of him. Mick, of course, yeah, one arguably the best player in the world.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it could be an absolute pot fest in store.
Let's just remind folks at home of the route through to this stage of the competition. That's the way Mick Hill did it. And particularly, you have to say that performance against Tom Ford, 9-4, he was magnificent, wasn't he?
I think from 4-all, you know, Mick was absolutely purely dominant. If he carries on playing like that through the rest of the event, he surely is going to be the man to beat.
And of course, this is the man he faces, who's come through unseeded and a qualifier, Mark Farnsworth. He beat Morrow Dolan in a pretty comprehensive fashion in his quarter-final. As you say, he's well respected on the circuit.
Yes, he is, and he's coming on leaps and bounds, moving up the rankings. We're going to see a lot more of him, Dave, that's for sure.
So I always want to know, is this going to go the whole distance, or are we going to see a one-sided match?
Well, if you look at some of the other matches, you know, they're a little bit unpredictable. I would say that Mick will start the favourite in this match. That goes without saying. It's really whether Mark can hang on to his shirt tails and whether he can put up a performance and maybe even a shock.
Fine, thank you very much. We shall remember those words. We'll be talking to Keith later. But right now, let's go off to our commentary team, headed, of course, by Jim White.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If you can welcome our competitors, Mick Hill and Mark Farnsworth.
Mick Hill leads Mark Farnsworth into the arena. Our second semi-final. Who will oppose Phil Harrison? One of these two gentlemen, to be sure.
First frame, Mick Hill to break.
Best of 19. The race to 10. And Mick Hill, having won the lag, will kick things off. If he is anything like he was in his quarterfinal clash against Tom Ford, you're in for a treat. The 2004 champion to start it out. A slaughterous break.
I think that has just answered the question, Jim, that you just posed. Is he going to come out like he did last night? We see that. That is an absolute monster break.
I think it's what you call nailed it.
I want to check and see if those balls are still round.
Well, that's presented Mick with a favourable finish. He's nominated the Reds. And the ideal start for him, really.
In the quarterfinal against Ford, he had 7 break and finishes. Even by his own admission, the best he's played on television.
Yeah, I spoke to him just before the match started as well, Jim, and he said he's feeling exactly as he felt just before his quarter-final match and during his quarter-final match. So if that's the case, this could be fast and furious.
Well, I'll be hoping he feels like he did at the end of that match as well.
He's been calling Leeds home for the last 8 years and is going to be going back to his original home of Dudley in the West Midlands, talking about possibly opening a club there with Rob Chilton. So business interests might just take Mick's attention for a brief moment, but I don't think he'll be straying too far from the pool table.
No, but what a way to open a club with the World Championship trophy on display. Still a long way to go though before we get to that stage. Mick's made light work of this finish here.
Tremendous start from Mick Hill. Just the way he finished off his quarterfinal, a break and finish. And Mark Farnsworth, if he didn't know what he was in for, he does now. Gentlemen, Does it get any better?
Not really, no. It was a great start for Mick Hill, but the big difference is the break. You know, he's had a massive break throughout the tournament, and if he continues to break like that, the other players are not going to get to the table enough.
No, we saw the break in the first semi-final between Adam Davis, Phil Harris, and it never really worked for either of the players.
Second frame,
absolutely
Mark Farnsworth
slaughterous.
the break, trailing 1 frame to 0. Time running.
Mark Farnsworth, the qualifier, at the table. Never got out of his chair in the first. He has the break in the second. 1-0 to Mick Hill.
And all he's done there is open the table up for Mick Hill. Total difference in break there. Nowhere near the same power. I mean, all the balls are opened into the middle of the table, and it's not the sort of thing you need to do against a one-time world champion and a wannabe 2-time world champion.
Yeah. Looks like he's going to be going yellows here. I think he's weighing up a plant of the red onto the yellow, the bottom middle pocket.
30 seconds.
Which he's perfectly entitled to do, as it's an open table. He can play either colour, but the one he pots will be the one that he's on.
Well, he's potted both balls there, but he can still...
Now he's got to nominate which one he wants to play.
So he can change.
Well, he's potted one of each, so it's now a choice. It's like a break shot.
Choice is always nice.
Yeah, he came to the table with an open table, and it's your first legal ball that you pot. So he's potted one of each. He just needs to decide which way he's going to go.
And if he doesn't nominate, it's a foul?
It would be, yes.
Red ball's in play.
Foul and an open table.
Yeah.
He's just changed. Now he's gone to red.
30 seconds.
Famously, I think our studio guest, Mr. Brewer, did that in a TV event. After the break shot, he potted one of each and then forgot to nominate, and didn't realise when the referee called a foul on him. No mistake from Mick Hill.
Well, you can see the reds all in the open. Even the one that he's cueing near passes the yellow into the corner pocket.
What you can see as well, the 8 ball is surrounded by the yellow balls, so he'll need to negotiate a path past those. Should he get as far as the 8 ball?
Well, what he'd possibly do is that one that he was cueing near to would be his last ball, and he could drop that into the bottom left-hand corner pocket, and he would leave him a shot into the middle pocket where that red, well, I was just going to say where that red's disappearing into, and he's missed it.
Come on, son, Martin.
Well,
Just caught the near knuckle. Sorry, Lee.
Yeah, he missed it by a long way, Jim.
Yeah, by his standards. And first look at Mark Farnsworth, the qualifier. Gives us a chance to let everybody know this year and for the future, if you ever want to play in this event, get your cue out. Well, Mark, we're not going to see any more like that, he's hoping. But qualifiers, 1,500 in total, came from all over to the venues, trying to gain a berth in this year's Foster's World 8-Ball Pool Championship. Open territory. But qualifying was just half the battle. Once you get to the main event, the dream lives on, though. Anyone can become world champion, but they have to have the parts.
Yes, and Mark, having come through as a qualifier, had to face a 2-time world champion in Jason Twist, so he's had a tough path. And now he's got to defeat another world champion in the name of Mick Hill. I don't think Mick's come far enough through. He's had a little sigh and dropped his arm. He's got a bit of work to do now.
There's one thing about Mick. If you look at him in the program, you better be looking from the neck up in the photo. He's lost so much weight. You barely, I mean, you could walk by him. If you didn't take a look at his face, you wouldn't recognize him.
Yeah, from his last World Championship final, he's lost over 5 stone.
30 seconds.
And his game has gone the opposite direction. playing some of the best pool of his life. He's hardening himself, traveling around the globe, playing in international events. And it has really turned him into a well-rounded player. And he comes back with his eyes firmly focused on the Foster's Whirlpool title.
Well, what you will see with Mick Hill, he likes to pull a few faces
seconds.
when he's in trouble. It is quite comical to look at him when he pulls those faces.
Foul.
It's a clever little shot there. He knew he was in trouble, so he just said to Mark, have two, and if you get him, you get him. You're a favourite anyway in this frame. But it's not the sort of chance you wanted to give to Mark. He was forced into doing that. Looks like he's left a gap for the yellow to pass by the red.
Yeah, he didn't quite secure that pocket in playing the tactical foul. Now, great opportunity for Mark to level up. Still early in this match, where you won't want to see Mick Hill opening up a 3 or 4 frame gap on him.
I think he would have liked to have flicked that red out of the way.
Yeah, he wouldn't want to have potted that one clean. I'd like that one to have wiped its feet. So he's just made the finish a little bit harder for himself. Still got the 2 visits. A little cannon bump that one out, so that's helped him. Can now take the one over on the right hand side of the table as that yellow goes into the bottom left hand corner, past the red.
There's a big positional shot coming up here, though.
And he's going to have to hit this at a bit of pace.
And we've seen 1 or 2 balls that hit the pace in the middle, towards middle pockets, and they've stayed out.
It's a great shot. Still got his 2 visits.
Yeah, though he may not need them. No, he's going to use them.
Yeah, sensible shot.
Absolutely safety conscious, and if you've got them, take advantage of them. The simpler 8 deposited, 1-1 the score confirmed here in Blackpool. It's the semi-final. The race to 10. Mark Farnsworth, Mick Hill. One to whet the appetite of all the pool playing enthusiasts.
Yes, and it started with the plant in the first shot where both balls went down. And a bad miss from Mick Hill. Although Mark missed there, he took control of the pocket, and that eventually won in the frame. Good pot into the centre. Using his 2 visits for a simple 8 ball into the right centre. Be pleased to get that frame on the board so early in the match.
They always say the first and the last are the toughest. And half of that equation has been duly accomplished. Frame number 3, Mick back at the table, 1-1 the score. Winding it up for a big break.
Open table.
Nothing down.
And that's the downside. When you've got a break the like of a Mick Hill and you don't pocket a ball off the break, you turn it right over to your opponent.
Yeah, we see the break-off shot there again.
Yes, he splits very nicely. A great chance here for Mark to take his first lead in the match. It is an awesome break that Mick's got. You feel that he's going to make more balls in it than not, with that sort of power that he's got in his break.
The thing is, this match could suit Mark Farnsworth, as you say. If Mick's breaking the balls like that and not making one, Mark's got the confidence and the ability. He'll just get down and knock him in. Certainly showing no sign of nerves here, Lee, in the early stages of this semi-final.
No, as we've said, we've not seen much of him on the television, but he's certainly one of the biggest money players around the world of 8-ball pool. He's played for tens of thousands of pounds, probably played for more money than any player. So pressure shouldn't be a problem with this man.
Again, just sizing everything up, very measured. Certainly on paper, he had to be viewed as the underdog. But when you come in as the underdog, you can put the pressure right on the favorite. Put him under pressure by winning a few of the early frames, and things can go wonky.
Well, the underdog won the first semi-final. Is the underdog going to win the second semi-final?
Yes, Mark. Of course. 2 in a row to Mark Farnsworth. 2-1, he leads Mick Hill. Frame number 4. And Farnsworth with a 2-1 lead. Winds it up on the break. Cue ball right down the center of the table. A red into the middle.
Ball potted.
Open table.
I think you'll be seeing nominate yellows here. There's 2 reds, as you see, just coming together on the right-hand side of the table, right in the end
Yellow
of the
ball's
table.
nominated.
We saw on the overhead shot. The yellows are all out in the open. So it's all the all-important first shot here for Farnsworth.
Well, I think he can play the one that he's nearest to if he so chose to go that way.
30 seconds.
But I think one thing we do need to say about Mark Farnsworth, he was very impressive in his quarter-final match. So I'm sure Mick Hill's well aware that he needs to turn up with his A-game.
Not with shots like that.
Open table.
And that's the second simple ball missed by Mark Farnsworth. Got away with the first.
Well, you would have thought that the early nerves would have been settled with a 2-1 lead. Just obviously didn't cue the ball properly. And what he's done there is left an open table for Mick Hill. He can go on the yellow balls. Oh.
Yellow balls in play.
And he's not the sort of player you need to let off the hook.
You can say that again, Lee. Just ask Tom Ford. Mick really hasn't been pushed in this year's event either. He's won comfortably. 8-4, a win over Manny Byrne in the last 32. Followed that up with an 8-2 win over a very handy player, Gareth Hibbett.
30 seconds.
In the last 16.
Yeah, Gareth World semi-finalist last year. And but I was talking to Gareth actually in the bar the other night, and I talked about the game. He said Mick was just absolutely awesome. He said, you know, I barely had a chance. He said he was unbelievable, and we saw that again in his semi-final. Sorry, in his quarter-final win over Tom Ford. Got to 4 each, and he's just absolutely flown away from Tom. Tom's not done an awful lot wrong there, so.
So Mick's looking in good shape for this finish. Just taking a little bit more time than he normally would. He's slowed his tempo down a bit.
Well, yeah, in an ideal world, Lee, he'd like to have left this yellow for last. The one nearest the black would have afforded the easiest position to the 8.
Yeah, he needs to leave himself an angle once he's played this one down to the top right-hand corner. Well, he's missed that, it's just slipped in. Quite fortunate there.
Yeah, he knows it, the little smile. He knows he didn't hit that one plumb, but thankfully it went in. Well, this is the big shot right here.
Yeah, it looks a little bit too straight on it again.
He's going to have to hit this with a bit of cue power. And watch that cue ball. Spinning it back, he hits the red. Perfect shot. Absolutely nailed that one. And what a finish from Mick Hill. It wasn't easy, a bumpy path, but he got to the finish line in that frame anyway. 2-2. Best of 19 semi-final action.
Ball's potted.
Looked like 2 reds off that break.
Yeah, he didn't generate the same amount of power this time, but just as effective.
Red and the yellow, actually. But it's still an open table.
But this time, whichever ball he nominates, he will be on.
Red ball's in play.
30 seconds.
Yeah, I think he might have just elected to take the reds there because they're all in this sort of bottom half of the table. So he hasn't got to do too much work with the cue ball, has he?
And what he has done is developed his bad ball and played a great shot.
Instantly, Lee. One shot, and he's just matured this into a possible frame winner.
Thirty seconds.
Well, you see him every now and then glance away from the table. He's not looking at anything. It's a blank stare. All his focus is on that 4 by 8 foot surface. He just resets himself. Tries to be as mechanical about how he progresses. It's all about muscle memory, those hours of practice to deliver that cue straight through the white.
Yeah, the 8 ball is slightly guarded, so if there were to be any problems, it would be the 8 ball.
Yeah, I mean, the only real pocket it goes to at the moment is left middle.
Yeah, he's just having a look, see if it goes in the right middle, Sean, as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking that Lee's way he's gone round. And obviously it looks like it does, yeah.
And again, making it look effortless. Into the pocket, back in front. 4-3, Mick Hill. Solid.
Yeah, certainly a quick fire frame there, something like 3 minutes from the break off.
And that's a shot that opened the frame up, moving the red away from the yellow. And all his work was done then. Simple black into the centre. Total different contrast to the first semi-final. This is open and flowing.
Frame number 8, 4-3 to Mick Hill.
By far his best break of the match.
Ball potted.
A lot more power generated.
Yeah, just look at the way that both suits are split here, but I think reds will be the ball. And that's confirmed by our referee Melvin Harley.
One of the best referees in the game.
Yeah, well respected by all of his peers and players alike.
Forcing that cue ball through. He's got the red to the right center. Whoops. That might be the only thing that's going to stop Mark in this frame.
Well, it's the only thing he wants to fall over. He wants to stay at the table.
Well, you know you're in the zone when you feel like you're the only player out there.
Yeah, he wants to be in both seats. Certainly the driving seat.
I was very impressed with Mark in his quarterfinal match.
I'll tell you what, I think he's blocked the path for the red there, Jim. He just nudged that yellow in that last shot.
That he has, Sean. But does he have the angle on the other one to get behind it?
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking that he might be forced now into taking a long red into the top right-hand corner pocket. Well, he elects to go across the table, take it into the left-hand middle. Good recovery there from Mark Farnsworth.
I mean, both players are just getting on with it. The balls are in the open. They're attacking every single frame. They're turning into frame winners right off the break.
Yes.
Superb pool.
Timeout.
Looks like he's just spotted something on the cue ball and he's asked the referee to just give it a clean. See there, repositioned.
Devastating pool here in Blackpool. Mark Farnsworth and Mick Hill. Machine-like performances by both of them.
Yeah, we just see a sort of shot there of the Farnsworth supporters as we see the break-off shot again. As you say, by far his best break of the match. This way it just went slightly awry for him there when moving that yellow, but two good positional shots and the simple 8 ball right middle. And he's levelled this game up.
Yeah, 4 apiece, Sean. And it doesn't look like there's going to be a lot to choose between them as they go side by side through the frames.
I just feel that the break could be the big part of who's going to win this match, because they don't seem to be missing many finishes, many pots. Who gets it most opportunities to the match?
Break, 4 frames all. Time running.
Frame number 9. Mick Hill, Mark Farnsworth. 4 frames apiece.
Ball potted.
Yeah, another great split there from Mick Hill.
Well, I'll be quite happy with that break, Sean, because 2 yellows have gone over the pockets. He's got total control. He's potted a yellow off the break, so as soon as he nominates yellows. He's on the yellows.
Yeah, I mean, yellows are always the ball when that yellows parts itself in front of the red, top left. Because with the other yellow there, he can just bump that onto the rail off the red, pot the yellow and leave the other yellow there. Oh, he's potted 2 in 1 there. It's not quite what he wanted.
Well, he's fine, and he wanted it to stay there, but he can still play the yellow inside and to the top left, move the red away, make the plant, so he won't be too worried.
Once again, seats at a premium up close to the table. The Imperial Hotel here in Blackpool is laying out the red carpet for all these pool fans and top players, and they are obliging.
So he needs a good positional shot here. Taking the one on the top and screwing the cue ball over to the right hand side of the table. Doesn't want to go to the rail. Pretty good shot, that one.
Yeah, just run this through now for the yellow along the bottom of the table, bottom left hand corner pocket, and I think black in the right hand middle pocket. This is just another quick fire frame. I think we're rolling them out in an average frame time of about 3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that yellow was made to look easy, but it was a little tester. Come through with flying colours. Ideally, he'd like to run through and just use the red as a breaker.
Looks like that's the angle he's got, Lee. Well, you saw the lights just flash there.
Just as he's about to play.
So he resettles himself. And again, a testament to his focus and concentration. Not ideal, he's bridging over the red, but he'd still expect to get this.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a gap, and he's just to the side, I think, so.
Well, it makes it missable.
Not today. 5-4, Mick Hill.
Hello again, welcome back to Blackpool for the second men's semi-final. Keith, you couldn't get a more contrasting match, this one, than our first semi-final. Mick Hill and Mark Farnsworth, totally different style of match.
Well, they're both very attacking players. Obviously, as soon as they see any chance of a finish, they want to have a go at it, yes. I think this afternoon, you know, we saw probably Phil try and stamp his authority with Adam because of the way he plays. In the final, he's probably going to have to do the same with one of these two.
And at the moment, be a tough man to predict who's going to win this, because this could go so easily either way.
Both players are playing very well, not missing a lot. This could go either way.
And Mick Hill feeling the pressure because he's, you know, is he going to lose to a qualifier?
Anything's possible, mate. This is 8 ball.
Another good answer from Keith. Right, let's get back to the action right now, see what happens.
10th frame, Mark Farnsworth to break, trailing 5 frames to 4.
Melville Harley sets the ball down. Mark Farnsworth picks it up. Frame number 10. 5-4, finally poised to Mick Hill. And still the storyline continues. A successful break and a nice split.
Yeah, just a little cluster of balls I think we'll see here towards the bottom middle pocket from the overhead shot.
He's got the 2 yellows on the left side. A little awkward. And if there is any reason to select reds, that might be one of them.
30 seconds.
Yeah, because both those reds
Red
at the
ball's
bottom
nominated.
there, bottom middle. One goes down, one goes in the middle, and one goes down the rail. So, although they're awkward, they're both in a potable position.
Red ball's in play.
Even though Mark's a qualifier, you know, I think Keith Brewer, our studio guest, has already alluded to the fact that this man is very well known and respected in pool circles, so he's probably not viewed as a qualifier.
Yeah, he's, like I said earlier, Jim, he's one of the big money players that we have in the sport. Nobody plays for more money than this man.
Yeah, not only that though, he's moved on to the IPA tour now, first year as a professional, and I'm sure that once he just finds his feet at that level, he will start to take some titles, Lee.
Yeah, I remember doing exhibitions all around where Mark lives many, many years ago, and they mentioned his name. I didn't know who he was, and I said, well, surely if this guy's any good that you're talking about, he'd go in the tournaments. Well, he's done exactly that, and he's shown how good a player they all said he was.
Isn't it funny, you know, every country we seem to have our players that just avoid the
30
tournament
seconds.
scene, but they're terrific players, very well known in their local clubs and communities, and kind of a coming out party here for Mark.
Well, he's missed that one.
Yellow ball's
Put
in
the
play.
kiss of death on him.
He holds his hands up to Mick to say, well, I missed the ball and I've been a little bit fortunate there because I've still got the pockets. But I'm sure Mick will be quite happy to get a shot at the table.
Problem is, Mark's got him in all sorts of trouble here. Those 2 yellows that Jim spoke about earlier in the frame, we see there top left.
30 seconds.
Well, Mick's just looking to see if he can attack and double one of those yellows into the opposite corner, but yeah, that's a tall order.
Quick look at the shot clock. 60 seconds. These players have to respect that. You get the 30-second warning that you hear from our timekeeper, and
I think that's exactly what he's going to do, though, Jim. He's going to play the cue ball to the bottom area and play the double, knowing if he doesn't get it, he's going to get the pocket because there's a red on that right-hand side rail. So we're dropping this one in, getting the cue ball close to the bottom cushion, and doubling one of those yellows, the bottom yellow, over to the bottom right-hand corner.
the speed that he plays this shot, all important. Well, he got a double kiss.
Yeah, I think he needed the cue ball to be slightly lower than it was.
Yeah, because when he played the shot, it was almost certainly the second yellow was going to kick the cue ball back towards the first yellow before it had a chance to get out.
That was a good shot. Didn't look like there was much room there. There still doesn't, but he knocked that red in.
Just weighing up now where he needs to leave the cue ball to take that red down the rail and get out for position on his last red.
He's taking a lot of time over this shot.
30 seconds.
I think he's a little bit unsure how he wants to attack, but it seems pretty straightforward. A red into the centre, the ball down the rail. And we've got two reds over the pocket. Well, he's decided to take the one at the top end of the table where he's standing now next and bring the cue ball back over there so he doesn't have to go up and down.
Hang on.
This is the big shot here, this red down the cushion.
It's a big shot, this one. I don't think he'll be playing with too much speed. Oh, he's cued that one really well, and he's rattled. Probably the speed kept that one out. Probably didn't need to play with so much pace.
He can't believe it stayed on the table, and it certainly looked like it did everything except drop. But again, second prize. Mick comes to the table, and he's looking at two goalies.
Well, Mick probably needs to cover one of those reds up with the yellow ball.
30
I
seconds.
can't see how he can attack. The finish is just too difficult. So he's just played a containing shot. He's blocked the red over the pocket there with the yellow.
Total snooker.
To be fair though, I think his left mark, a fairly straightforward escape. At the one bottom left, he'll come off the right hand side rail.
But that's all he could do, Sean. He just had to hope. And that's all it is, hope that he doesn't get out of this shot. We all know these cushions slide a little bit. And slide it has, and that's exactly how you can see from his body language. Can't believe how wide it's come. We have said that Mark's not used to the TV arena, and he won't know so much about the slidiness of the table.
A very good call, Lee. Evidenced right there. That was a simple escape for a player of his caliber.
So Mick's come to the table. He has got two visits now, so it makes a finish possible. Certainly not easy.
30 seconds.
So he's going to double that one out, trying to make it in the middle, and what a great shot. What a shot. Needed to keep his two visits.
Yeah, because he's still got the ball on the left-hand side as we look there. We see this double once again. Straight in the heart of the pocket.
Fantastic shot.
And how big was that shot, though? The difference between having two shots on this finish and having one. Massive.
Still not out of the woods, though.
Well, no, because he's still got to get the right position here to double the yellow out, and either look to use one of his visits on the, use both the visits on the yellow. He's still got to get position on the black, but with both bottom pockets blocked.
Well, he'll definitely be wasting a visit on the second yellow. He could drill it all the way up the top cushion, but it'll be going nothing more than pocket weight, I wouldn't have thought.
No, I wouldn't think so. In or over the pocket, this yellow. He'd love to carry that second visit to the 8.
And it's there. Fantastic shot from Mick Hill. 2 visits.
How has he won this for him?
Very good question, Jim. Just hope for a little bit of luck. Played the snooker and hoped Mark was going to miss it, and that's exactly what he's done.
Second visit.
I think Mick's played the best of set-up shots there, but you fully expect him to take the 8 into the centre.
And with it, he's gone 2 clear. For the first time in the match, Mick Hill, 2 clear, 6-4 in front. Frame number 11.
Again, there seems to be a little bit of power taken out of the break. Controlled it well, and he's made 2 or 3 balls.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to see 2 reds and 1 yellow disappear here.
And unless those yellows are a plant set into the corner, I think it's a guarantee he's going to take reds.
Either way, it's a good split, Jim. It's perfect for what
Red ball's in play.
Mick wanted. And a chance to extend his lead to 3.
30 seconds.
He's won the last 2 from 4 apiece.
And he did this in his last match. He was 4 frames all, then run the match out. So is he looking to do something similar?
Very careless. A lot of body movement
Yellow
there.
ball's in play.
He snatched at that one. And he just held his hand up to say sorry, so he's obviously left a favourable table for himself.
Well, you see there that red's come across and blocked that bottom left-hand corner pocket. Because I'm sure those 2 yellows, it could have been possibly manufactured into a plant.
You don't often see Mick Hill slap at a ball, and look what he did there. He launched himself into that shot.
And he's not left an easy starter for Mark Farnsworth either.
30 seconds.
I want this to go over the pocket. He won't want it in. Not hit it hard enough. So he's just turned the table back over.
Wasn't quite sure about the shot there. It was whether he just caught the cushion before he contacted the yellow. If he had done it, would have been a foul, but obviously Melvin Harley, our referee, was in close attendance. He was happy with that.
It was a legal shot, Sean. It was fine. He just didn't hit it hard enough. Catches the ball clearly.
Yeah, just about yellow first there.
30 seconds.
I think Mick just weighing up whether he wants to attack or improve his position here. There's certainly some work to be done if he does elect to go for the game.
Yeah, knowing Mickey will be going for the finish. He's done it in such a way to play the double. He wanted that red to stay over the pocket, not the one that he's potted, the one that he played on top of it.
Now will he double that back towards the other corner where the red sits?
It might slide past it, Jim, sorry. So the red may go underneath the yellow, so he could probably still attack by sliding that past it. He's not happy. He's not happy at all, so he obviously doesn't think it does. So he is going to play the shot you suggested by playing the double.
Well, I think he intended to play it right there, and he just drew the cue ball back about 6 inches further than he intended. So it's trickier.
Double back onto the other red.
Missed it.
There's no real damage done though. He's still got the goalkeeper over the pocket. I think he's more annoyed that he hasn't cleared the table on the 2 opportunities he's had so far in this frame.
Yeah, such is the standard that Mick Hill has brought to the semi-final. I mean, he kicks himself at every opportunity when he doesn't perform to the high level of expectation.
But for some reason he seemed to have blown up in this frame. Totally different from every other frame in the match, so I don't know what's changed his mind, why he feels different in this frame. I mean, he's got the lead, he's 6-4 in front, so...
Yeah, you say, Lee, he slapped at a ball early on and then he's played that double, and I don't really understand why he played the double. And where's the cue ball? Foul. It's disappeared. That's 2 visits, Mick Hill. Frame over.
Well, he'll be relieved to see this shot. I mean, he's trying to bump the yellows out, lost the cue ball into the centre pocket, and Mick Hill will be a relieved man because he did start to look like he was getting a little bit anxious.
Yeah, I don't know whether he'll need both visits here. This looks pretty straightforward, but it's going to be 7-4 when Hill departs the table. That's the only certainty. And it's confirmed, 7-4, Mick Hill.
Twelfth frame, Mark Farnsworth to break, trailing 7 frames to 4.
The 12th of a possible 19 frames. Mark Farnsworth sets up, he trails Mick Hill 7-4.
There's the cue ball.
Foul.
And things are starting to look ominous for Mark.
Yeah, just all looks like it's going wrong here for Mark Farnsworth at the moment. We see he's going to screw that cue ball. He just took a little nudge off the red, and that was all it needed to send it back into that top corner pocket.
Well, the patterns continued from Mick's quarter-final match, where he managed to run the match out. Oh, Mick's trying a shot here. He's trying to get the cue ball right in. The referee, Malvin, just making sure he doesn't knock anything with his hands or the ball when he puts it in.
Yeah, interesting thing here. I actually ref Mick in his last 32 match with Manny Byrne, and he was really, really close to an object ball, and he actually asked me whether he could play the push shot. And I said, well, I can't answer that because I can't tell you the rules. But what he was trying to do was a similar thing. The cue ball was going to be very, very close. And what he was going to do was run. He could have run through with pace. And provided he didn't double hit it, it would have been a legal shot.
Well, a double hit under these rules is not the same as in snooker, is it, Jimmy? You can't get the cue ball anywhere close to it, whereas in pool, you can play sort of a double hit with speed.
Exactly right, Lee. Oh, that's a great shot on the yellow. He's unlucky. He is unlucky.
2 visits. Red ball's in play.
2 visits. Now to Mark Farnsworth. Well, it can turn.
It's a nudge off that red.
Lady Luck played a card. And I just think we've seen more emotion now from Mick, so whether he's starting to feel a little bit of pressure at the moment. He's still got the lead, so he's got nothing to panic about. But he certainly doesn't look as calm and collected as he did at the start of the match.
I just wonder if it's in the back of Mick Hill's mind. He thinks that if he gets through this semi-final, the world title is there for the taking. You know, he will have watched the... he did watch some of the Harrison Davis semi-final, and he thought, maybe thinking so, well, I'm playing better than that, and if I can get through this game against Farnsworth, then that title is there for me.
It's definitely a factor, but he also, I'm sure he also knows that Mark's come and bought his A game here, and he's got to get to that final first. So Mark's Well, he's been a little bit careless there by trying to develop that ball where he didn't need to. He needs to be able to get through to the red and to the top left-hand corner. Looks like he can just get through to it. And that red looks like it does still go into the centre. He's played a good positional shot, so it's a good recovery there from Mark Farnsworth.
He's perfectly, and the crowd know it.
Yes, the Farnsworth supporters have found their voices again. They've been quiet for the last 3 frames.
First
He's a little bit short on that one. Needs to hit it hard enough so he hits a cushion. He's still got 2 visits.
Yeah, this red isn't going to be traveling too fast when it nears that corner. It's either in or right over the dip.
But you've got to make sure that he does hit a cushion, though.
He might just play it over. I was just thinking he might have overcut it, but he's gone the other way and used the yellow as a breaker there.
Yeah, he didn't play the pot there. He just sensibly wasted his visit. Here's a cue ball to travel up.
To pull one back. And in dramatic fashion, the in-off from Mick Hill, allowing Farnsworth back to the table. He mops up 7-5, still to Mick Hill. Frame number 13, 7-5 his lead. Will it be a lucky 13 for Hill?
Where's the cue ball? Watch the cue ball again and look at the split.
1 visit, open table, time running.
Again, he's only got 1 visit. But from this break, solid break, but look at the cue ball. Doesn't get kissed, straight up.
Just a mishit, pure and simple. This match has turned on Mick Hill like a rabid dog.
Well, what he has done is turned the table over, and he's left a very makeable finish for Mark Farnsworth, and a finish you fully expect him to take out. All the yellows out of the way.
Red ball's in play.
In effect, all the reds are near the pocket, so it's a dot-to-dot finish.
He gets back to 7-6. The pressure well and truly falls on Mick Hill. Looked like he was sailing 7-4 in front, looked like dishing up to go 8-4. And that unlucky in-off has brought Farnsworth back into this match.
Well, he's got to be happy with Mick's body language. He's seen that he's shown a little bit of emotion, so he'll be thinking, well, that's good for me. He obviously knows that I'm in this match, and as long as I can do my stuff, I hope I'll get a few mistakes out of Mick.
Yeah, certainly a superb opportunity here for Mark Farnsworth to reduce that deficit. Just picking his way around this finish.
Yes, he's fine. Surely he can take the one on the bottom into the bottom right. Let the cue ball drift up. This match is going to get closer and closer. It's just a question, which player cracks first?
To be honest, the match has been relentless. It's just been like finish after finish. I think we had 1 scrappyish frame early on, but other than that, I'd say been great splits on the break. This is pool of the highest quality in the biggest tournament in the pool calendar.
Nicely played. 8 into the center pocket. And 7-6 confirmed. Center stage here in Blackpool, and it's serving up a feast. 7-6 Mick Hill over Mark Farnsworth. Frame number 14 and Mark Farnsworth at the table. And now every break is under the magnifying glass.
Well, there's been no power in that break. His last few breaks have been lots of power generated. He's made a couple of balls every time. This time he's turned the table over to Mick Hill, and we'll soon see how Mick Hill's feeling now. He's just got the two reds which are tied up together. I'm sure one of them passes into the corner, so...
Yeah, I think sure that the top one goes top left, Lee, as we look on the overhead shot.
30 seconds.
This is a good opportunity for Mick. I fully expect him to take these out.
Yeah, and just when he was starting to be threatened as well, Lee, I think this is the timing of this clearance is made to order, but he's got to get it.
Notice him just taking that little bit of extra time here. Doesn't want to make any more mistakes, leave anything to chance.
Well, I think he's travelled a little bit further than he would have liked. Sort of in between shots. A little bit short, a little bit further would have been happy. May have to draw back into the yellow. Played it perfectly.
Brilliant shot there from Mick Hill. 'Cause I'm sure now both of those reds go into that corner pocket, top left as we look.
Well, by moving the yellow out of the way, he's took all the obstacles out of the way. So it's now all of a sudden become an easy finish.
Farnsworth applied the heat, put the pressure on. Pressure creates diamonds.
Slightly hampered by the yellow, but he'll be fine. This is a good reply from Mick Hill. A couple of frames have gone by, still kept his composure.
Yeah, so just as Mark Farnsworth applied the pressure, Mick's responded here.
Well, he didn't want Mark to get level with him, so to get this 2-frame lead again, he'll be a relief man. Not a lot of frames left in this match, so he needs to keep that distance.
Staying in front, Mick Hill, 8-6. Frame number 16, 9-6, Farnsworth trails. He can afford no more mistakes, and he knows it.
Well, that cue ball flirted with the middle pocket.
Ball potted.
But the yellow ball found its way into the bottom right-hand corner pocket as we look on the overhead. We see that yellow ball tracking up the table, just making its way into that pocket.
It's a total different style of break where Mick's all power. Mark tends to try and make sure he cues him and gets a solid hit and hope that the ball drops in.
You know, as well as Mick Hill is playing, Farnsworth still has the same look on his face as when this match started. He's not hanging his head at all. I think in his mind, he's got every chance. He just needs to do the business while the controls are in his hand and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, as much reaction we've seen out of Mick Hill in terms of body language and gestures, there's been none of that from Mark Farnsworth, as you say, Jim.
Well, he's had an unlucky cannon there, yet to run into the group of balls at the bottom of the table. Needed a favourable kiss, but that isn't what he got. I'm not sure whether he can still keep attacking from here. I may have to just play a containing safety. Doesn't look to be any path through to the one in the bottom left-hand corner.
30 seconds.
So hide the cue ball he will.
Yellow ball's in play.
Mick Hill now He's got to try and find somewhere to park this cue ball where he's not going to leave Mark Farnsworth an opportunity, because I'm sure if he gives him half a chance to develop that problem area, Mark will attack.
30 seconds.
He said this match has been fast and furious. I can't see it changing now.
So another little containing shot, not a lot was on.
Touching ball.
Well, there have been very little tactical exchanges in this match. Matter of fact, I really can't think of any, apart from the one that looks like unfolding right here.
I think frame 6 might have just been, there was a small tactical exchange during that frame. It lasted 9 or 10 minutes, that frame. But everything else...
30 seconds.
So Mark's not happy. I think he's drawn the cue ball back too far. Given Mick an opportunity.
Yeah, it looks like he might be able to get through that one to the top middle.
If he does that, then he might look at just running the yellow down the left-hand side, take control of that pocket.
Well, I think
30 seconds.
he's got that option, Sean, or he could roll the yellow over the bottom right as well, because he can keep him off that shot. Drops the yellow over the either pocket. Probably the bottom right would be the better way, because he controls that area. Then he can develop the yellow, which is tied up by the red.
So he doesn't want this in, Lee, just over the pocket.
Just over the pocket does him fine. Doesn't want it to drop. And let's look up to the gods again. Little facial expression again. And that shot sort of changes the frame, because instead of being in total control, he's now got to break the yellow out from the red and leave Mark a chance. Is it a cushion?
Foul.
Well, it hasn't. No.
Great shot. Great shot, you heard him say. Very careless. No need to be so precise there.
Our referee was right there, eagle-eyed Melvin Harley, quick to award the foul. He doesn't miss anything. One of the premier referees in the world in 8-ball pool.
30 seconds.
And that mistake
Second visit.
should be Mick Hill's undoing in this frame.
Yeah, he's just, Mark, with this visit, he can sow the seeds of doubt in Mick Hill's mind. Mick might have just had half an eye on that final already, with only being one frame away from booking his place. But Mark Farnsworth is pushing Mick Hill all the way here.
Really a testament to the character and the ability Mark Farnsworth possesses. I think you're going to see a lot more of this young man.
And he's open. He's in this tournament. He's open still to make his first world final. But it's an uphill task.
As a qualifier, Lee.
Yes, and unless he wins the tournament, Jim, he'll be a qualifier next year as well. Has to win the tournament to get back into the tournament.
Yeah, I'm not sure he'd pick enough ranking points up, Lee, would he? I mean, if he was runner-up, I don't know whether that'd give him enough ranking points then to get into the top 8.
He's got no other points with it being his first year in the championship, so 6 points would all he'd have, and you'd normally need about 8 points to get through into the last 8.
Well, he's still on song, still got a chance. 9-7. Farnsworth trails Mick Hill by 2 frames. And Hill with the chance to break and clear up. In the next, a chance that he wants to put to pay.
Yeah, he doesn't want Mark to get too close to him in this match. He's a couple of frames away. You know, he needs to get to the hill and over the hill as soon as possible.
17th
Bolts
frame,
out of his chair.
Mick Hill to break, leading 9 frames to 7.
Frame number 17, 9-7 his lead. A good break here could lay the foundation for a trip to the final.
He's made the ball, he's made 2 balls, he made a red and a yellow.
And I think he just made a place in this year's World Final. You can tell by his face. He's saying please. But I don't think he needs to say please, because look at the yellow balls.
Yeah.
Yellow balls. Yellow balls in play.
So he's nominated the yellows. It really is an ideal opportunity to book his place in the 2009 Foster's World Final.
And very measured now, and why not? He's got 1 foot over the finish line. All he's got to do is drag the other across.
That's it, he's made 1 or 2 uncharacteristic errors. And he just wants to keep those errors out of this frame now.
By and large, though, I feel, Sean, that it's been a standard that very few can live with.
Without a shadow of a doubt, this man has played the best pool in the tournament so far, and you know, we put him on a pedestal to say a couple of mistakes in a match. Well, in other matches you've seen a couple of mistakes in a frame. You know, this man's going to take some stopping.
Well, if he puts out Mark Farnsworth, it's only going to be down to 1 person to stop him. And this is the big shot, this long yellow.
Yeah, I just saw a little tap of the cue there from Mark Farnsworth. He thinks this is over.
I think everybody does, including Mick Hill. And he knows it's over.
You saw the reaction there. He stayed down, replayed the shot.
And he can kick it in for a place in the final. 8 down. Mick Hill is through to the final. A 10-7 winner over Mark Farnsworth. He will now meet Phil Harrison for the world title.
So Mick Hill then through to the final, but not without some drama. What did you make of that, Keith? That was a little nerve-jangling along the way for Mick.
It's understandable, isn't it, in this kind of a tournament? Yeah, I thought Mick was good value for his win. I thought Mark put up a very good fight, but there was 1 or 2 misses and mistakes in there. It could have gone either way, I really thought, at one point there.
Both players, though, had a very positive attitude, didn't they? I mean, the frames whizzed by, and they were going for most shots without wanting to sort of slow things down and tangle it up.
That's the way they both like to play. It's arguable to say at some point if 1 or 2 of the players had have covered the odd pocket or played a certain tactical shot, it may have led to a frame win where they've lost one, but it's the nature of the game, of the way they want to play.
Jim and the other commentators were saying that basically they think Mick has played some of the best ball we've seen in this tournament so far, certainly based on his last performance occasionally here. Do you go along with that? Have you seen some really great stuff from him?
Well, I think it's easy to say that because Mick's played such an open attacking game, and of course he hasn't missed much, has he?
No.
But Phil's played a different way, and he's played just as good in my value. It's just that he's gone about it a slightly different way, and it'd be interesting to see what he does in the final with Mick, won't it?
Yeah, and in this particular match here, obviously, it was the big match experience, wasn't it, for Mick?
Yeah, of course. Seasoned pro, knows what it's all about, job done, 1 more to go.
Fine, let's hear now from the man himself. This is what Mick Hill has to say.
Well, grinning like a Cheshire cat, I've got Mick Hill and just soaking up the moment, aren't you, Mick?
Yeah, I'm just really delighted to get through. Obviously, Mark's a top-class player. Tom as well. Just so excited. I enjoyed the match so much. Not really played Mark much before. We had 1 game on the tour, but that obviously out there. And I know he's a big-time player, quality player. I just really, really enjoyed it. Just so happy to get over the line.
Well, you broke so well, and I think you knew that was going to be a key ingredient to beating a player like Mark.
Yeah, I just feel that if I can get balls off the break and the spreading, you know, that I'm gonna like knock them in type of thing. But you know, it's so cutthroat. You know, you're playing at this level. You know, out there, they patch off the break. You know, you're in trouble. You patch off the break, you got a great chance. Yeah, just really looking forward to the final. Great friends with Phil. Hopefully we can put a good match on for everyone.
And now it is the final against your mate Phil Harrison. Anything you want to say to Phil?
Yeah, I just like sort of, you know, he's waited so long. You know, I think he's had 4 semi-finals before. You know, he's played some top-class players to beat him before. He's gone one better. Hopefully not 2. But I'm sure at the end of it all we'll still be good mates, and so hopefully just enjoy the match.
Well, a terrific performance in the semi-finals. You've raised the bar very, very high, Mick, and all the best of luck in the final. We're looking forward to it.
Cheers, thank you. Cheers.
Yes, and naturally delighted Mick Hill, and why not? I mean, he's through to a final, which we're all going to look forward to. Let's just confirm what's happening then. There's confirmation of the 2 semi-final results. Phil Harrison putting out Adam Davis, and Mick Hill, 10-7 winner over Mark Farnsworth. That means, of course, that the final is the one that we are now looking forward to between Mick Hill and Phil Harrison. That, of course, will be next here on Sky Sports, so we hope that you'll be back for that final. Should be great stuff. Don't miss it. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.